Today's recipe calls for your favorite protein powder. I'm going to show you how to make protein cookies so you don't have to miss out on those sweet treats but still hit your goals. So with that said, let's get started.
The first thing we need to do so we can start these simple and soft cookies is preheat the oven box. Set the heat level to 350 Fahrenheit or 176 degrees Celsius. Next, grab a medium-sized holding device. To that, we'll add one large room temperature egg. It's best practice to crack the egg in a separate container instead of the bowl. This way, if we get any shells with the egg, we can easily pick it out. Following the little eggie, we'll add in a packed half cup or 110 grams of dark brown sugar. You can also use your favorite sugar alternative to hit your nutrition goals. The last thing we need to add to the bowl is 3 tablespoons of vanilla extract. I forgot to add it and had to do it later on in the recipe. It worked out in the end, but it'll be easier in this step. Now that everything is in the bowl, whisk your face off to bring all the ingredients together. The goal is to whisk it well enough that the sugar dissolves into the egg. This should take maybe 2 to 3 minutes, depending on how well your whisk skills are. It's imperative that you do this step well. If not, the sugar may not fully melt during the baking process, making the cookies gritty and grainy in texture, which of course is not what we want. We can move on to our dry ingredients next. Snag a medium to large size bowl with a fine mesh strainer. Add in half a cup or 60 grams of your favorite protein powder brand, and of course your favorite protein flavor. I went with a vegan creamy vanilla powder. Keep in mind whatever protein dust you decide to use, it will give you different macros in the end. Following the bro powder, we need to add in half a teaspoon of baking soda. This will give the cookies a nice rise, and it'll also give them a super soft texture. Sift the 2 ingredients together. This will combine both goods. It'll also break up any clumps that may be present. Finally, add in a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Slightly whisk your face off to bring all the ingredients into one dusty, cloudy mess. When the dust settles, we'll add in 1 cup or 250 grams of a smooth peanut butter. I'm using a PB that has no sugar added. A peanut butter with reduced fat would also be a great choice. You could also use any of your favorite nut butters for this recipe. After the creamy stuff is in the bowl, fold it a few times into the dry stuff to start incorporating things together. Next, transfer the wet ingredients from one bowl to the other bowl. Ensure you scrape the holder of goods clean. We do not want to waste anything. Fold and mix everything into one giant dough ball. Scrape the sides of the bowl really well. Things like to stick. We want all the goods incorporated. What's cool about these cookies is we do not have to worry about over mixing things. Since there is no flour, there is no gluten to overwork. When you don't see any dry ingredient pockets, we can now add our chocolate chunks. We'll add half a cup or 100 grams of some dark chocolate chunks. It's best to use a dark chocolate or a semi-sweet chocolate or even a bittersweet chocolate for these cookies. These chocolates have a higher value of the cocoa mass, which holds some health benefits. They will help with the aid of making these cookies more macro-friendly compared to milk chocolate that is basically just fat and sugar, which isn't very beneficial. Also, it doesn't taste that great. I found it's easier to fold the chocolate into the PB dough by hand. Again, scrape the bottom and sides really well to mix things in. Then I finally realized I forgot to add the extract, so I did it now. Now that we have our bro dough made, grab yourself a half sheet tray, line it with some parchment paper, or you could also use a silicone mat. If you bake a lot, these things come in clutch all the time. It's time to portion the cookies out. You could easily scoop the dough and be done, or you can do what I did and weigh each one out. This will help make it easier to track the macros. It'll also ensure each cookie is roughly the same in size. Keep in mind, even though each cookie will weigh the same, some may have more chocolate in them than others. If you're not a fan of that, make your dough without the chocolate. Then once everything is portioned out, add a few chocolate chunks on top right before they are baked. Each cookie of mine is 1.2 ounces or 36 grams worth of goods. You may notice the dough is crumbly and doesn't seem like it will come together. Simply work the dough in your hands. The heat from your mitts will warm the fat in the peanut butter, making it slightly melt, which will make it pliable and easier to work. Squeeze it together, then roll it in your grabbers to make it into a sphere shape. Drop the balls onto the lined tray. Leave a little space between each one for an even bake. The cookies will not spread like a traditional cookie will, so you don't have to worry about spacing them too far apart. And also, with that said, that means we need to flatten them out into a cookie looking shape. Flatten them into about a 1/4 inch thickness. The dough will crack around the edges of the cookie. Simply pinch the cracked dough back together to smooth it back out. I'm going a little crazy and adding a few more chocolate chunks on top for that sweet aesthetic look. Of course, you can skip this if you wish. Snag the tray of goods, gently toss it into the hot oven box, place it on the middle rack for the best baking results. Set a timer to bake the cookies for 8 to 10 minutes or until the edges start to become crispy and brown in color. Times may vary depending on your oven box and how hot it runs. The brown color will be hard to tell since they are already brown. Just look for a darker shade of brown. That's enough talking about all the shades of brown. Once the buzzer rings, pull the little scrumptious things out of the heat. Immediately after they come out, sprinkle them with a little flaky sea salt. This will pair well with the chocolate/sweetness and will make them look so good. Allow the treats to rest for 5 minutes to let them completely set up. Repeat the same steps until all of the cookies have been baked off. These cookies are the perfect sweet treat for those cravings. They're also a fun way to get more protein in for the day. Keep them all for yourself or share them with your friends. Whatever you decide to do, just enjoy.
Alright, now that our protein cookies are done, let's give them the old taste-a-roo. So looking at them, they came out super tasty looking. I would like to believe if the Cookie Monster was here, and if he was real, he would definitely crush all these cookies. But besides that, they do look super tasty, and they got nice color. Even though it's hard to tell because peanut butter is brown, we still got nice golden brown edges, and the bottom is also super golden in color. The chocolate on top is super milty and delicious looking. The sea salt on top adds that nice pop of color from the little white crystals. And it looks super aesthetically pleasing with the flakes on top. Overall, it just looks really tasty. So let's crack it open. Super soft. The center looks nice and soft. The outside has a little bit of a crunchy texture, but the inside looks like it's going to be really soft and chewy. So enough talking, let's just try this. These things came out banging. The first flavor you get is peanut butter, of course, because the main ingredient in these is the peanut butter. Even though it's like the star of the show, it's not overpowering by any means. It's nice and subtle. The next flavor you get is a little hint of vanilla from our vanilla extract and the protein powder itself. Then next you get that super deep, rich, chocolatey flavor from our dark chocolate. And of course it's a chocolate chip cookie, so it's gotta be really chocolatey. Then the sea salt on top helps really round it out and make it a well-balanced cookie. It really cuts through that richness of the chocolate and kind of gives it that roasted peanut flavor as well. And we got a nice caramelization on the outside of the cookie, so that also brings a nice flavor profile to the table. And the texture on it is just super good. The outside is nice and crunchy, but the center is still super soft and chewy. And then of course you get that gooey chocolate as well. Overall, it's just well balanced between the chocolate and the peanut butter because those things go so well together, and the salt just brings it all together, and yeah, they just slap. These things are pretty simple to make. They're going to be way cheaper than anything that you could buy at the store, and they're definitely going to be way healthier for you because they're not going to have any of that extra nonsense in it, like those preservatives and a ton of sodium and all that other junk in there. And you can customize these to fit your dietary needs and restrictions. Maybe you need to make them fully vegan or more keto friendly. There's pretty much endless opportunities, and you can get rid of the peanut butter and use like an almond butter or a sunflower butter. Yeah, like I said, there's endless opportunities. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching. And I think I'm gonna go crush all these cookies while I watch some like Sesame Street Cookie Monster stuff on YouTube. So I'm gonna go do that, and we'll see you on the next one. Of course, it's gotta taste like a chocolate. A chocolate. A chocolate. The never flavor. And you can customize the... My phone is going off.